Hi, everybody.
Hi there.
Hey, everybody.
Yellow.
Shelly, do you know how many we need to get started?
We need 5. We need one more.
One more? Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know who else was coming?
Mike
Carl
said
and Mike.
that he would be here.
Yeah, Mike as well.
I think Keely said she was going to join for our last.
Yeah, I
Last
thought
time.
she
Yeah.
was.
Yeah, I remember that at our last meeting we were saying that.
He was watching Schitt's Creek, I think.
I just re-emailed it to them both as well.
Joe, have we had any interviews for new members yet?
We'll have two. I don't know. I don't know if you know who they are, but that's all I heard.
I don't recall, but yeah, we interviewed in, I think it was November, and appointed a couple of new members. But
Yeah, I was hoping they would be here.
They won't start
Not till
their meeting.
February.
Yeah, they don't start. till
Okay.
February. We do have two of them. I know I have their names somewhere in my email, but I didn't have a chance to look at it today.
There's Keely.
Hi, Keely. I think we're good to go, Bob, if we wanted to get started.
Yeah, let's start with the roll call, right, Shelley?
Yes. Keely,
Keely Sugden is present.
Bob,
Stephenson present.
Michael is joining right now.
There he is.
Sorry about
Annie?
that.
That's okay. Annie,
Here,
Rachel,
Here.
Cara,
Here.
Raphael,
Here. Here. Yeah.
Councilmember Anderson,
Present.
and Will.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Cool. The next thing would be to approve the minutes.
I move to approve the minutes.
And I second.
I have a motion and a second. Do I have any discussion? All in favor of approving the minutes from last time, say aye.
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 Minutes are approved. Thank you. I sent out an agenda. We are basically looking at a few things but I wanted to just add a thing because the thing with the most priority that we have to do tonight is to get our tentative agenda set for the whole year so that we know what dates to put before the communications team so that we can get the publicity out. And I talked with Tony on that, and I think we better check that through first. The thing that we would basically have to do first would be the what am I trying to say? The recycling thing in September, and then the leaf recycling, which is usually the last weekend in October or into November. So that's, let's see. Where would we do the
Bob, real quick, do we want to try to figure out kind of what whole events we want to do for next year first, and then kind of plan the dates around after that?
well,
Just so we can get the whole calendar made at the same time.
And
Yeah.
also, we need to choose my replacement.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and we want to deal with education and all of that, but I
And the
want to
healthcare.
start with those 2 dates in September, and then we'll work back
Okay.
because it's still kind of up in the air with COVID and the quarantine and everything. Did we do the hazardous waste the week after November or after Labor Day this year, didn't we?
Yes.
So that would be the 11th, I think, this year. Does that make sense, Will?
That would.
Let's put that in first.
As far as dates in September, I know for a fact that I won't be here on September 11th already. That's very far in the future, but
Okay.
would the 18th and 25th work for?
Yeah, the 18th would be fine. If you're gone on the 11th, then we would do it on the 18th. Because I do not want to go down there and set that up, being the lazy person that I am.
Hey, 4 a.m. is really fun, you know?
Yeah, I could probably get up, but I don't know, especially on a Saturday. So let's go with the 18th then,
Okay, so 18th and 25th.
and the 25th. That'll be a little later, but that should not really affect us that much.
And then I know the other event you talked about was Leaf. But for that
Leaf.
one we don't really get to make the call for.
Will they, well, does that come through Littleton then?
Yeah.
But it will probably be on the 30th because we had it on Halloween this year, right?
Yeah, usually it's the last two weekends in October and first weekend in November, I believe. So it'd probably be like what is that?
It'll be the 23rd and the 30th this year.
Yeah, 23rd, 30th, and 6th.
Okay. So then that brings us to other events, and we usually have a cleanup in the spring or early summer. And I don't know how open we're going to be. Have you heard anything, Will or Joe, about long-term openings?
It looks like we might have lost Joe. But I mean, as far as I know, I mean, the same kind of summer, like for, mass vaccine schedule is like in the summer. And I don't expect anything to be different until then would be my assumption. So, if we wanted to plan something maybe in like July, that might be a bet, but I would say anything before there is probably going to need to be virtual or very likely to be canceled.
So I was
Yes.
just thinking that if we used to do the WaterWise education in August. So if we flipped that and did a webinar, which is an education or whatever in the time during quarantine, so like in June when we would normally do the cleanup, then you could flip it and maybe by August you could plan for a litter cleanup.
We could do a webinar in May or June easily. That would be a good idea because we could count on doing that.
Right.
Let's tentatively How about like late May, like the 22nd? The 15th or the 22nd?
So the education series, and maybe Keely can remind me, I think we did them during the week,
Mhm.
on a weeknight.
Yeah, with the webinar, that would make more sense. I'd forgotten that.
And I think we
Yeah.
actually had two. Isn't that right?
We, for yours, we did I don't know about this year, the year before we did two, and the year before that, we did two composting, and they were both on the weekend on site. So I
Yep.
don't think we should plan on that.
That
But we've
was
done
what-
two in the past, one kind of in the spring and one kind of in late summer. But I think it depends on what you guys choose to do, what kind of subject and all that. Because it makes a lot of sense to start a gardening thing in the spring or, but so it depends, I
That-
guess, on
That's why I was thinking maybe doing a gardening thing around the 22nd, or if we were opening, we could probably do a hands-on composting. But could we tentatively put in like May 15th? When is Mother's Day this?
On the 9th. Are you wanting to do it on the weekend rather than the weekdays?
Anywhere around Mother's Day, because that's the traditional day to start gardening, the last frost supposedly, right, Annie? And so, yeah, we could schedule that during the week tentatively and maybe hop on to the gardening bandwagon, put something tentatively down and start working, because without Celie here, you've been our education, our Keely, I mean, you've been our education guru. So we're gonna have to make sure we have somebody to do that. Does that make sense to everybody? Would you
So-
be available, Ann?
So Bob, I'd be happy to do maybe like just recycle one of the presentations I did in spring, like May 12th, maybe, if Shelley can help host the webinar, because it would be just a webinar and a slide deck. And we could have questions and stuff. So I don't think there's too much logistics there, and I can make time on my calendar for that.
So it would be up to us just basically to host it and publicize it, right? And
Right.
do you have any ideas? Is there any day that might work better for you? Or evening, or what would you suggest, an evening?
Yeah, I think an evening would be good. I did a presentation for the town of Greeley, and they were really proactive. They had advertisement on the radio, and they had, on their website. So I don't know how we want to promote it. We haven't had a lot of great attendance, but maybe this being the third year running, maybe there'll be more people aware of it. But I do think we need to put it out there early. And I'm happy to give you guys the caption and a picture or whatever, so you can start promoting it. But I think May 12th, that's a Wednesday. It's after Mother's Day. The Gardens is having a big sale, so I can plug that. And I think that would be a good evening to do it. It's just, yeah.
Well, let's plug that in, say May 12th.
Okay.
And I think, in talking to Tony about publicity and stuff, I think we may be able to get more out and do more. And I think that would be a good idea. And maybe try and get a wider participation. So yeah, let's do that. Let's put that in tentatively May 12th. And then what I'll do is I will let her know, or you can, Will. And we'll see if we can do some more on that. That would be great.
Sure thing.
Say, what time do you start? Usually 6:30, 7-ish, or earlier?
Yeah, I think it
than-
was 6:37. I can't remember exactly. And it's usually just an hour.
Yeah, let's do 6:30 then. And we will start seeing if we can get some publicity going and get 40 or 50 or 100 or casts of thousands to get in there. So, because if we can, the broader we can do, the better it is. Okay. And then,
With the education, please feel free to contact me if you guys want to do more. I have the contacts at Doug and over at the, what is it? The little restaurant. Can't think of the name of it right now.
Grow and Gather.
Grow and Gather and stuff. So please feel free to reach out. I'm happy to connect people or whatever. If anybody wants to take that over, I'm very happy to do that.
Good.
Because
if
like
nothing
last
else,
year we were really hoping to do a lot more, and
yeah,
and I don't think this is the year to do it, but maybe the next year.
yeah.
Add some new things.
But if we can keep the momentum that we have going and utilize that, I think that's all to the good. So yeah, thanks, Keely.
I was thinking about I don't know if you want to add an event or something for next year, and maybe there's already something set up for it, but I was wondering, where can people recycle their Christmas tree, like in the beginning of January? Because
they can do it. I think that's set up already because they do it in the parking lot of Bates Logan Park.
Okay, I didn't know. I
Yeah.
figured it was something, but I didn't know if there was actually or not. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it
Yeah,
sure
the
could be better
parks.
promoted, but I know it because I walk there and there's a bunch of Christmas trees there.
Yeah.
Okay. So we just drop it
There's-
at Bates Logan?
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
in the
Bates
parking lot.
Logan.
Okay.
I'm trying to think. Bellevue.
Oh, okay.
Bellevue Park. I think they still do Centennial. And I don't think the parking lot is where at the Miller Park across from the police building. I'm not sure if that's still there, if they utilize that, but I do know that those 3 parks are utilized. So,
Okay.
and
Well, thank
they
you.
are posted, and I'm sure they've got them. I walked by Bates Logan and I could see a pile down out by the parking lot today. So,
Okay. All right.
okay,
Thank you.
that's a yearly thing.
Okay.
And we should make sure that that's published, but that's under the parks. So, but thanks for reminding me of that. Now, Will, have we heard anything about the 4th of July? are they even thinking of having it at Bellevue this year?
I have not. I don't know, Joe, if you've heard anything.
We haven't discussed it. But I think I would suspect that everyone's hopeful that we'll be at a place where we can do it. But I don't know that.
The reason I'm asking is the most successful cleanup that we ever had, we had the last weekend in June before the 4th of July. We had good publicity. We had good participation because Randy Penn was head of the chamber at that point, and he utilized that, and we had probably 20 or 25 people show up for that. And it was really helpful because it cleaned up a lot of the areas of Bellevue that don't get utilized except around the 4th of July. And it was, I know the parks really appreciated it. Now, we could tentatively put in that last weekend in June for a cleanup. And then what I'm suggesting is that we would then do a cleanup again in August so that we would have 2 dates set up at this time for, and if the 4th of July did not go off or they did not need it, then we could go to, say, early August. And that should be fairly open by then. And if it wasn't, it would be much better to cancel it than to scramble and try and do it. So is there any discussion? What do you think about those options?
It's okay to pencil it in.
Yeah. I'm thinking that if we did the 26th of June, that would be a good day for a cleanup. And even if we didn't do it down there at Bellevue, we could see where the parks or any other areas that we might need. For instance, we could, if nothing else, we could do around the athletic fields at the high school or along the creek area there or whatever. So, but tentatively put it at Bellevue. For to pencil it in, and we could do around the dog park and meet at the Windermere parking lot and go from there. And then let's see what August looks like. I think we would want to do it early on, probably no later than the 14th, because then we would have about a month before the hazardous waste event. Does that make sense? And we'll just pencil it in.
So June 26th with the backup date of August 14th.
Right. Yeah, let's put that in at this point.
I'm thinking for the education webinar that you want to do through the year. I might have somebody that could do one for like worm casting or worm composting. He's the one
Ooh.
that actually he's the one that taught me how to do it, and he actually is pretty knowledgeable about it. He's been doing it for years, and I'm pretty sure he would be maybe like interested, to make like a small little webinar about it.
That sounds great. Because
Yeah.
we were thinking about trying to do something like that
Yeah.
this year, and then with everything, at the Grow Gather. But if we could do it online, that would be really wonderful.
Yeah, I'll talk to him about it because he's a friend, so I'm sure I can squeeze a word in and see if he would be up for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you would, and if you would get back to me or to Will with with maybe some dates or what
Okay,
he
yeah,
thinks would work.
Okay, so we have one in May, if I'm correct. So
We
maybe
have one in May. We might be able to fit one in before that or
Okay.
in the fall, whatever he thinks would work.
Okay, I will write this down.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll see with him and I'll get back to you.
Great.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if we could do one even in November, if that would work, but I'm thinking with worms and stuff, people would be interested more before spring. So that
Yeah.
might be a better time. But if we do one that early, we really want to see if we can publicize it. So the sooner we know, the better. Okay.
Yeah, I'll talk to him like this week.
Great. Great. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Any other ideas? Before we get too much further, we had talked about ways of being accountable and stuff. Does anybody handle Google Docs? And we used to have the, what did we call them, Keely? The to-do lists?
The oats, I think.
Oats, yeah.
Yeah, that we used to do. We didn't do them this year, but that was on a document, and then we could put in what we were supposed to
What
handle.
we were assigned to do and stuff like that.
I'm sure that's
And
still in our
It's
communication.
still there.
Yeah, we could take that over again. And I don't think anybody's been taking notes unless Will has.
Yeah,
Because
because
your mic's off, Will.
I've been taking notes of like dates and stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah.
so would anybody be willing to take that on for at least the next 6 months so that we could be held more accountable? I just do not have the knowledge or the skills really to do it myself. And apparently nobody else does either, huh?
I can try to take some notes during the meeting on the spreadsheets if we need to.
Okay. Well, you can. If you can at least maybe
Yeah, 'cause I
keep
still have
track
access
of
to
it.
that whole thing too.
Yeah. And maybe I can get more up to speed, but I've learned that I can't run the meeting and then try and do that at the same time. So, but that would be good. I've got the dates down anyway. Okay. I have had some discussion around what we might be able to accomplish with some beautify, something that would concrete to improve Englewood, or anyway, to looking at how to spread our name around and accomplish something concrete. And partly at Mike's bequest, and I got in touch with the park supervisors. And one of the things that we had talked about was some of the spaces that Englewood owns or that are under city's jurisdictions, but not really taken care of. And so when I talked to the parks guys, they said that one of the things that they are getting interest in is a pollinator garden. And so they are going to get back with me with, I think some of the impetus was for doing this comes from the CASE group. I can't ever remember, it's Citizens Advocating Sustainability in Englewood, I believe, something like that. And they're looking at maybe putting in a pollinator garden at the depot property. And
So if you do that, I would just get in touch with the parks people.
yeah,
They do all the gardens, and
I've been in
maybe you could
touch.
partner with them, you know?
I've been in touch with them, and that's what they're saying. And so, but part of the thing is getting some money to actually do something, which because of the grant, we do have access to some funds that we have control over. And so I thought that this would be a good way to partner with both Parks and Case and get us some publicity, maybe Keep America Beautiful some publicity, and move some things forward. And if we can get this ball rolling, one of the parks guys said, and I know this area, there's an area up by Northwest Greenbelt where they put the bike trail through under the railroad tracks and down by the power plant there. So it's now complete down to the river. And they have one section that's just pretty much desolate. So we were thinking that we could use the pollinator garden as a kind of an experiment to see if we could really accomplish something, and learn there on a smaller scale, and then move forward and maybe do that area up there, and maybe some of these other areas that are there, especially Mike has a property just south of his house there at Cherokee and Floyd, which is just a paved over area. The problem is that area doesn't have any water, but I think there's some ways to move around that. But we kind of gotta get moving and then see how we partner and how the whole situation goes. So do I have any discussion about this idea or anything like that? What do
Can
you
you
guys think?
describe what a pollinator garden is? I can imagine what it is, but I don't know for sure.
Well, I'm probably about as good at imagining it as you, but
Okay.
I think it's a lot of things with like butterfly bush and milkweed and things like that, that, you know, the bees and the butterflies like, and
Phil, can I step in
and
here?
yeah, and I was
Right.
just gonna say, Andy, you know.
Yeah, I do. A lot of people want to promote native pollinators rather than planting something that's hybrid or something that doesn't produce pollen for our native bees. We have a lot of native moths
Right.
and butterflies. So actually using plants that are native can be better than doing butterfly bush or some of the things that you might hear of that make sense. But there's a number of plants that are really, really great for our local pollinators. But as well, you can plant bumblebees and things for bumblebees and also things for, nesting birds. And you can make it more of a habitat garden, not just a pollinator garden. And there's a new sort of wave of things coming on with insect hotels. And that could be a really cool educational component of that, where people just, you take a brick and you literally put it in the garden. It's an insect hotel because it's got holes in it. It's in the ground. The bees want to go and put their hive in there. So there's a lot of ways you can go with it. If there's not water, all the more reason to go with native plants, native to Colorado.
Well, and
I
that,
love that idea. And also there's another resource, a group called Wild Ones, and they have actually done similar things in other communities. So they might like to partner with that. So in fact, I met with somebody from Wild Ones before shutdown about partnering with them on some stuff. So they might be willing to jump in there once we can open up again.
I think it's a great
Well-
idea. I'd love to see us get involved and contribute.
Yeah, I think it's a good way to use our funds too. That's good.
Yeah.
Same. Love the idea.
great. I will
What do we do
move
now?
forward on this. And Annie, what you just said dovetails with another step that we were thinking about on some of these orphan properties, that since they are without water and they're often in next to streets or something like that, but if we could come up with some plantings and stuff like that, and then even, to hand water them to get them established, but if they're native, they should be able, once they're established, to continue. So we may be in touch with you or with somebody, probably you at the gardens, to, guide us on, knowledge and stuff like that, if we
Right. And that's
continue
exactly
to build this.
that's the program that I run, and it would be free for Englewood because you're in the SCFD district. We would
Yeah.
offer that service no charge. And I've tried to reach out several times, but maybe they just weren't ready. But there's a lot of things that you need to think about when a lot of people want to just put in a garden and plant it and water it once and be done and forget it. The main thing
Yeah.
is there is some maintenance, there is some weed management, and then there's cost. So seeding is a good way to cover cost and not amending the soil if you don't have to. But really, you have to commit to some kind of management with the weed management,
And that-
especially
and that's
if you
a-
water at all. So
Exactly. And that's exactly what we want to do. We don't see, we have had medians through the city. Joe can probably speak to this. And the park staff actually pushed against putting more medians in because they would put the medians in, but not give us any funds or manpower to maintain them. We just, yeah. And then the council or public works, it just went by the wayside. And a lot of those medians got pretty much destroyed, you know. And in fact, over on Santa Fe, Sheridan got them all in on their section south of 285 and then could not even pay for the water for them. And so they just, you know, they're just as bare as concrete right now. So this is the kind of thing that we want to do. We don't just want to start this stuff. We want to know that it's going to be maintained at least at a level. But, you know, in talking to the parks guys about it, they already have to send up a crew every once in a while, probably about maybe once a month or maybe twice a summer to mow it down anyway. So if you do that and just do some weeding, if they understand what's needed, so that becomes part of the whole thing, is to educate people and the workers and make sure that the program is in place. So I think this could be a real exciting thing. It would get our name out front and do some really good things. So I will continue to pursue this. I have not heard back from the case group, but the parks guys were more than excited because it solves two problems. It may give them some funds to accomplish something. And then once we've proven this, then they can start budgeting or looking for it in the budget so that by next year we could take on a bigger project, do a whole habitat garden, say up at Northwest, put in some paths and some benches and make it more appealing. You know, I mean, that section up there is in the industrial district, but it's right next to a neighborhood, and the trail is starting to get a lot of use coming down from West Denver, from Federal East. So I think this could really blossom if we can hold up our end to it. So that'll be great. I would, you know.
I have a question. on that.
Yes.
Is it not possible to do, in working with the Parks Department, maybe, how they do like adopt a highway, like adopt a park with like, I don't know, the local schools or local church groups or, whoever, whatever groups out there, that want to participate in something like that and, be education for the children in our community. Like, is that an option? I mean,
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
And I just found out recently that Meg, our old chairperson, is really behind the Cushing Park neighborhood. So I now live in an official neighborhood in Englewood, which is great. But that idea of adopt a park or a orphan tree or whatever, I would think we could build bridges with those neighborhood groups. And so, for example, if we planted a tree in a neighborhood, maybe the neighborhood group would help volunteer to pull weeds or, keep an eye on the watering. I mean, I just think that's worth looking into. And I think right now Meg's got quite a bit of energy here in the Cushing Park neighborhood. And she's asking people what kind of projects they want to do, et cetera. And I think it's terrific. So I'd like us to do one thing, let's give something a try and,
Well,
do something.
with that, how about, I forgot her name, but the woman who's running the new neighborhood part of the
Madeline?
city. Yeah, maybe you guys could talk to her and see, what neighborhoods or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, because we will, in talking to Tony, who is, I'm not sure what the structure is in the department right now over there, but Madeline is either working with Tony or Tony is Madeline's supervisor or something to that effect. But they will be having the neighborhood watch. They are pursuing more neighborhood projects, investments type things. So this could dovetail into that very easily. I have not heard anything around our neighborhood over here much, but I know that's one of the things that they're looking at doing. So that's a great idea. And I will talk to Tony and let's see if we can get maybe adopt an area, adopt a street, adopt a park, you know, and that would maybe even solve the maintenance on some of these orphan areas if we could get people to adopt that, and then that would take a chore off of the Parks Department. So this is the kind of thing that I love to see, and if we can keep this ball rolling and go from there, that would be great. So we will move forward on this. I don't think we need any motions or anything at this point.
What are the next steps?
Well, I will pursue by the next meeting, by the February meeting, and possibly before, I will know some of the parameters of what we're looking at with this pollinator garden. And if that works out, maybe what some more of the long-term things are. But I would expect that I will send out an email to everybody detailing what we might do within a couple of weeks. Because
you need any help, Bob? Be glad to help you.
Yeah, well, I may. So, but anyway, let's look at that, and then I will talk to Tony too and see where we stand with the neighborhood, and maybe with adopt an area or adopt a street or adopt a park or adopt an orphan or whatever, you know. So that gives us a few avenues to pursue this. Okay.
What's confusing to me, Bob, is I don't know where the decisions get made. I mean, does Tony make the decision? Does city council make the decision? Does the parks department? You know, I don't know how this gets
think
done.
right now, I'm not positive either. I'm kind of exploring this, but I think the pollinator garden is directly under the parks. And so they're looking at that. So we can start there.
Sure.
Now, some of the other things we may have to go back as far as work through council, but this is you know, something that we have to explore. And
can I jump in real quick?
Yeah.
And I mean, in all likelihood, even some kind of pollinator effort would require some council action, but it actually came up at our meeting last night as an item for a study session. Couple council members brought up solar gardens and pollinators is something that probably within the next 2 months we will have a study session on. So since you're talking about it, you know, I'd love to pass that you guys have, that KB has some interest in that as well. But it's certainly something that council will be talking about and possibly moving forward on as well.
Great.
Excellent.
So we will continue with our momentum here and direction. I don't want to, that's what I told the parks guys. I don't want to step on toes, but we want to keep moving. And it sounds like there may be other efforts, but once we get something in the hopper. It seems to build momentum, and that's what we're hoping.
Terrific.
One other thing on the garden topic, I know Denver has a pretty robust like community garden program. So I don't know if there's dead space or, you know, areas that just aren't being utilized, and, you know, perhaps there's no budget for maintenance that can be somehow converted to a community garden where, you know, people.
Englewood has a really active community gardens. It kind of faltered partly due to COVID, but partly because a lot of them are around the schools, and the schools were under construction. And so this year, now that the construction is finished, I think all 4 or 5 of those school gardens will be functioning. And then the pollinator garden that the Parks was talking about, looking at, would be at the depot. And there's a very, I think there's 10 or 12 plots of community gardens at the depot building there on Dartmouth, right at north of Cushing there. So this is something that we are involved in, not KEB as such, but the city and the parks have set aside the land, and with the schools. It's really interesting because 15 years ago, we tried to set up community gardens and hardly got any interest in it. And in the last decade or so, it just has gone through the roof. It is just, you know,
Yeah,
in
that's
fact,
this and there's like a wait list that's like over.
yeah, in fact, yeah, the last 5 years ago when I retired, they told me that we had a waiting list of about 20 people. And I think we had something close to, I'm not sure, but I think close to 100 garden plots at that time. So like I say, it kind of went down because they could not have them when the schools were under construction. But I drove by Hay School the other day and they've got some garden plots set out. So I think it's back to being around all the schools. So it's exciting. This is really encouraging. We should have some momentum and have some things for people to chew on with our new members stuff next week then, or next month, I mean. I think that pretty much covers what was on our agenda. Does anybody have anything else they would like to bring up or discuss?
Well, I would just like to recommend that you guys maybe in the next meeting have, like we always had a brainstorming meeting and everybody brought ideas of things that we might want to work on during the year. So everybody has a chance to bring up things they'd like to work on. Because I think there's a lot of good things that came up that in 2020 that we just never could get to, because especially with COVID. And so I'd like to see those, you know, if people are still interested or, you know, have a chance to bring up ideas they want to do. And then
Yes,
you guys decide on, you know, I think that we did that like in October and February every year, I think, or November, you know, kind of revisiting and so I just suggest that so that everybody has a chance to input ideas of what they'd like to do during the year.
yes. And in fact, that would be a good place to start as we get into February and formulate something. Maybe see if we can get input from new members or whatever, but we've really got some things, you know, going here. So we've got a foundation that we can build on and some ideas and some directions that we can possibly really make a difference in the next year or two. Okay. Joe, is there anything from council that's happening outside of your pollinator garden? They did not tell me that the council was looking at it, but maybe that's what they meant when they said they were getting some interest in pollinator gardens.
No, I don't think I have anything else. That was the only thing I was going to mention tonight, but I didn't, that was something that just came up last night at the council meeting. So we did get consensus to move forward with that into a study session, which usually happens within a couple of months. But that is, that's the only report I had was the pollinators and potentially talking about solar garden ideas as well. So I'll certainly report back when we have that discussion to you guys.
Great. And I will keep track, and if it's on the agenda, I'll look for that. Okay. Well, if there's no more discussion.
You guys need to get a new co-chair. 'Cause
Oh,
this is
yeah,
my last meeting.
that's right.
And,
Yeah.
I'm going to sign off. So you guys can take care of that. So
Well,
thank
we'll
you,
have to,
everybody. And do you need me for this, Will?
no, real quick. I mean, we won't be able to do that tonight just because we'll have to put it on the agenda.
Oh, okay.
But it will be something we'll need to do for next month. So yeah, so if everyone wants to think about it, that's a thing. But as far as like voting and everything like that, will have to be next month.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, so
Keely, thanks
we
for
need to
all
put
your
it on
work.
the agenda now. How do we do that?
I'll put it on there.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
it'll be on the agenda. Then we'll vote. And we do appreciate all you've done. You've been a real anchor for this, Keely.
Well, I've enjoyed every minute of it.
Thank you, Keely.
I've really enjoyed it, and I'm gonna miss it. And please reach out. I'm happy, especially with the education stuff, since I'm the only one who's done it. And
Yeah,
I still know how to contact people. And then Annie was such a key player with it the last 2 years. Amazing. I mean, we had such a quality
yeah,
product, and I just hope that we can find a way to get it out to the public more, because I think if people knew about it, they'd do it.
yeah.
It's an amazing opportunity, and Annie did a great job.
Oh, Annie, you have been a terrific asset. We really appreciate you. I wish you were still in Englewood. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to dismiss the meeting.
So moved.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor, sign off.
Bye,
Thanks, you guys.
everybody.
Good to have you all.
Thanks so
Great
much.
meeting.
Yeah,
Thank you
everybody.
much.
Stay in
See ya.
touch.
Bye-bye.